Before we begin, trigger warning, it's going to be extremely tough to hear what I'm about to share with you, and I do believe we need to have this conversation anyway. If you have an eloping child, a nonverbal child, or an aggressive child, you have to hear this. Something really horrible happened recently. Some days ago, a 6-year-old eloping autistic child drowned. A super aggressive child just attacked his mom while she was making food because he got impatient waiting for her. And the reaction in that video was, these are the children that end up in homes because no one can handle them when they grow up. And then finally, a positive story that I want to become your reality. A nonverbal child, I think she's around 10 years old, who's never been speaking, all of a sudden says, "I love you," and speaks fluently as she grabs her mom's phone. And I want to talk about why these things happened. I want to talk about how you can avoid these tragedies and how you can support your child so that speech is developed, why this child all of a sudden spoke and how that actually happened to my child as well, how you can prevent aggression and eloping so that you don't have to be afraid for the future when it comes to your child, and so that your child, you don't have to have your eyes on your child like a laser beam for the rest of your life. So with that said, let's dive into the reaction and let's watch these videos together.
Finally tonight here, the mom, her little girl, and what she captured. 5-year-old Zoe Expert asked to borrow her mother's cell phone. Zoe has autism and has been nonverbal up until a few months ago. So mom was astonished when she saw what her daughter had recorded.
This is a pine cone. This is the dandelion. This is another dandelion. This is a grass. This is the sky. This is the clouds. This is my car. This is my house. And there is my beautiful mom. She's the best mom. I love her so much. And she's the best mom in the whole world.
Zoe's mother hearing her daughter say, "I love you," for the first time. Well, isn't that profound? We needed that tonight.
So when you watch something that's so miraculous, you think, how could that happen? What's been going on in this child's brain and development all these years when she was nonverbal? And all of a sudden she's speaking these fluent sentences. How can that be a reality for me? How can I make that happen? Every mom with a nonverbal child longs to hear a child speak or tell her what he or she is frustrated about or say, "I love you." It happened for me, and that is why I know it is possible and what causes nonverbal autism and also how you can address it. And I've seen this happen to the moms that I'm working with as well. So there are several things. I'm not going to be able to cover all the things that I did to make this happen, but I'm going to cover some of the most important ones. So what happens when a child is nonverbal is that there are things that hasn't been hardwired and developed age appropriately. In my own case, my own child, echolalia, not speaking, repeating words, he was just saying, "Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up," all day long. And then he parroted our language, and I didn't think that he would develop speech. So what I did was I took him home, I implemented the things that I now work on when I work with moms. We go through a 12 to 14 months process of rewiring all these skills, but I took him home and I did some of the things that I'm sharing in this video. And I just want to share with you that he went from not speaking, not understanding anything, grammar or calculus, maths or anything, to pass his exams, low level, no impressive grades or anything. But I thought I was just going to tell the teachers to get him to know how to go to the shop without getting cheated and have friends. That was my ambition, nothing more. But what happened when I implemented the things that I'm about to share with you is that he developed speech. He passed his exams. He went and did all the things you do in school where you read books and you write you write essays, you do the things to pass exams. And then he moved to a foreign country and he learned English. He went into Warwickshire College School of Arts, and he also passed his functional skills there. So that is, from the outside, it looks like a miracle, and I do believe that God is involved too, and I do want to talk about that in this video as well. I just want to highlight that when speech is not developed, it's because of lack of development in the part of the brain that hardwires skills like turning what you see and hear into concepts that you can use to form words, be social, have social skills, bond, understand concepts, and turn it into words, and develop humor as well, develop the ability to write and retain knowledge and communicate. So what's happening is that if you live an indoor artificial lifestyle like my child did, or your child is using baby jumpers or baby walkers like my child did, or if the child is passive in front of screens and it doesn't crawl for long enough, my child didn't crawl at all these things can add up to a state where the normal development in the brain that's supposed to happen, where you stimulate physically, you stimulate the visual, the auditory processing, the balance organ, and the things that hardwire those skills in the cerebellum, does not happen. We don't know why and how exactly, but there are studies that are pointing towards physical movement, specific physical movement. There's a study published in Nature, the highly estimated magazine Nature, publishing agency Nature, and it showed that specific physical exercises like the ones that we did for my child from he was around probably 6 years old, 7 years old, is exactly what hardwires those skills. But there's another thing. The things that we do in nature, well, I just want to mention that the brain stores all the attempts. This is what happened to my child and to this child, this nonverbal child that started speaking. The brain stores all the attempts that this child has made to read and form words and turn what she saw and heard into concepts that she could use. She just didn't have a brain. Look at it this way. She didn't have the shelves to put that knowledge onto and use. So it's like she had the attempts, but she didn't have anywhere to put that information and all this learning and all these attempts and turn it into concepts like speaking and understanding and comprehension and retaining and communicating with others and bonding with others. So when she got to a state in her brain development where she could free up space in her brain and hardwire those skills to use the many attempts that she's made to learn things to actually start speaking, then it looks like a miracle because all these attempts happen within a very short time frame. And that's exactly what happened to my child as well. From all these non-speaking, echolalia, non-communicative, no learning issues to actually going through the schooling system and passing exams and graduating and getting a driver's license and a job and becoming independent happened within a very short time frame. That's because all the attempts that he had made finally were put to use. So you can do the same. You need to understand that nonverbal autism is not a one cause, one solution kind of thing. With every symptom when it comes to autism, it's a multifaceted thing, and you need to look at systems rather than symptoms. Your child has a lot of triggers. This is your child's stool of life, okay? There's a lot of triggers here provoking your child, irritating your child, so that the child does not develop the skills that are needed to function in this world. One might be neurological, one might be environmental, one might be genetic, one might be emotional stress-based, one might be food-related, and we will talk about that. So your job as a mother is to think about this differently. You need to become an expert in understanding the systems of autism and understanding how to become the collector of the puzzle pieces for your child's healing journey so that you can remove these nails one by one and give your child a good foundation for learning skills such as speaking. But there's another crazy thing about nonverbal autism that I've seen in my child and in the children of the moms that I work with. And that is undermethylation affecting learning, a lack of speech, gut and diet affecting learning and lack of speech, your stress affecting learning and lack of speech. Let's talk about it. Undermethylation is something that affects about 90 to 98% of autistic children. This has been proven in non-profit research based on William Walsh's studies, and it's just something that Dr. Berenti that I work with, she's also the one that teaches inside my program. She establishes that if you have autisms, you have issues with methylation. Here's the deal. It affects neurotransmitters, it affects hormones, it affects enzyme production in all the cells, it affects DNA, it affects basically all aspects of health and detoxification and functioning as a human being negatively when you're undermethylated, because the processes that are needed for that to work does not work. So that needs to be balanced. I've talked about this in numerous podcasts because I'm so frustrated that the functional medicine practitioners, the naturopaths, the autism dietitians, even the experts, the medical professionals do not understand the complexity of methylation and how it needs to be bio-individually addressed in every single child. I'll link to another podcast I've done about this topic as well at the end of this episode or in the podcast description. This is also where you find the link for sending me an email. Sign up for my newsletter because I only work with people who know what I stand for and how I work. I don't start a process with someone who comes into this completely fresh, uneducated about the way that I look at autism, because I know that you need to be on the same wavelength for me to help you. So if you can't, send an email to contact@barefootautismwarriors.com or go and check that link in the description notes. I know that you don't have the drive that it takes to really change these things. So back to the gut and bio-individual nutrition and undermethylation. Unless we address undermethylation, we're not going to develop cognitive skills either, because we won't have the nutrients on board and we won't be able to get rid of toxins and we won't be able to have the neurotransmitters that we need to learn. So then there are the neurotoxic foods that many children with autism get as well. Many of the supplements that you give your child will actually have a negative effect on learning. If you're undermethylated and you give a child folate or methylfolate, for example, or you give a child that is copper toxic or high in copper, more copper in a multivitamin, for example, you have more symptoms and less learning. But that's a story for another time. I've created more podcasts about this than you have time to watch, probably. So neurotoxic foods are glutamates, histamine. Especially for undermethylated children, this is an issue. We find glutamates in processed foods, but also in healthy foods such as cheese and protein powder, collagen powder, gelatin, all the things that you do. Probiotics, fermented foods are high in histamine and glutamates as well. That will create anger, agitation, aggression, frustration, and lack of learning too, because the brain is so wired that the child won't be able to learn. This is something we're going to talk about when we watch the videos about the children that are really struggling with aggression and the child that died from eloping. So when we eat gluten, which the immune system often react to when we're talking about autism or ADHD, and when we eat dairy, that has a similar effect, and we have inflammation, and that inflammation is also in the brain, the immune system starts to fire at everything. And so the immune system can actually start attacking own cells, including in the cerebellum, the part of the brain that we talked about just a moment ago, which is crucial for learning, developing skills, speech, emotional control, and decision making. So if you are giving your child a lot of foods that's not that's not in sync with their biotype. And mind you, the nutritional needs for a child change all the time, every month. So unless you know how to monitor that and adjust nutrition and lifestyle accordingly, you're not going to be able to help your child. That is something that I'm so passionate about teaching moms, how to become an expert in reading what your child needs from moment to moment by becoming an expert in, yes, you guessed it, doing it for yourself first. Unless you learn how to do this and regulate this for yourself, you won't be able to do that for your child. So finally, I want to say, nonverbal children also tell us that there's something that you are not understanding. They keep silent because they want you to understand them. I definitely have seen time and time again children beginning to speak when moms stop treating themselves horribly, when they stop just abandoning themselves and just getting more and more stressed and hurried and busy, which is not God's plan. The more busy we are, the more we hurry, the more we are in trauma response. And that's my final point for the nonverbal autism part, which is when you're stressed and your nervous system is in fight and flight, your heart rate, your breathing pattern, and your immune system will be out of whack. Your child will read that and mimic that because children copy our breathing, our heart rate when they are around us. So you're both stressed and the immune system will not work, the gut will not be in a good place, and the detoxification won't happen. And we just talked about the fact that the immune system can trigger attacks in the parts of the brain that the child needs to develop speech. So that is a big problem. Your state of mind, your health needs to be in a better place. I'm telling you, mama, if you keep hunting and chasing for practitioners and panicking about the future, you're reacting in a trauma response that is not going to lead to sustainable healing for your child or speech development. So with that incredible message, I know that is God's plan for you, is for you to understand what your child wants you to do. And then the child doesn't have to stay silent to mirror the things that you are not seeing or telling yourself. The truth that is not being told is what these children are silencing themselves to show you. I feel that God has a plan and Satan has distractions. Let's move on to the next video.
Sadly, though, another family searching for their loved one got devastating news earlier this evening. After a 26-hour search for 6-year-old Fazan Hassan in a Gaithersburg park, the child's body was recovered in a pond just feet from the playground. Frantic and heartbroken, family and friends who've been searching for 6-year-old Fazan Hassan at Borough Park run to the pond after hearing the news.
At approximately 5:25 p.m. today, a body surfaced in the pond at Borough Park.
He's only like 6 years old, and our heart is broken.
Police describe the boy as autistic and nonverbal. Family members tell us Fazan was last seen in the park and would always gravitate toward the nearby playground. We spoke to Fazan's father earlier in the day.
Left the kids with my mom-in-law. Then when I come back, I come in the car. I grab just some mats and just some kids' beds. Then when I back to the mom-in-law's, Fazan, we lost him, Fazan.
Maryland Capitol Park Police, Gaithersburg Police, State Police, and the Mid-Atlantic Dog Search and Rescue worked to locate the little boy. But police said even the most extensive searches are not always 100%.
The unfortunate thing when you're dealing with bodies of water is, again, what's underneath. We don't know, and how that can affect our instruments and reading. And even though fire boats responded to the pond, police say divers were not used. There was issues with snapping turtles. My understanding was because of that and some of the terrain in there, it would have been a little harder to do that. All you can do is say just be vigilant, keep watching those children, keep your eyes focused on them as much as you can. But unfortunately, things like this do happen.
A tragedy indeed. Our hearts go out to his family tonight.
Now, this is absolutely heartbreaking, and I know the fear that this mom has had in her heart. all these years where she has been trying to monitor him, trying to keep him safe, I remember having to have my eyes fixated on my child all the time, or he would jump in front of trains, it happened, jump from balconies, I caught him, jump into a pool, I jumped in with all my clothes and glasses and shoes on, and that saved his life, or he would have drowned when he was 5 years old as well. This is something that is one of the main causes of deaths in autism, which is why one of the most incredible researchers that was my mentor in the beginning phases of my son's turnaround, he went through autopsy reports on drowned autistic children and adults, and they all had an inflamed vagus nerve. So here's an important lesson. One is, children who are eloping are in danger. You need to know what to do to prevent this. A key in this vagus nerve being inflamed is actually when you look at the things that I described when it comes to food and undermethylation as it pertains to nonverbal autism and getting a child to speak, supporting those systems. It's the same thing to prevent eloping. Again, you need to look at systems, and you need to understand that every child is different. Every child's nutritional needs change all the time. You are the only one who can collect all the healing puzzle pieces. Don't try to do this on your own. I did that, and it was trial and error for 8 years before I found that way that I'm now teaching moms to become an expert in interpreting their children's symptoms, collecting the healing puzzle pieces, and understanding what God's plan is for us. So with that said, it's our biggest fear, and it happens because of the inflammation that was proven in these autopsies. When you have an inflamed vagus nerve, the vagus nerve in the nervous system, it connects the brain to all the organs, and it is actually when the vagus nerve is dysfunctional or imbalanced or unregulated, you cannot bond with other people. You cannot make good decisions. You are not able to control emotions, and you're not able to learn how to speak. Imagine your brain being inflamed and your vagus nerve, which is connected to kidney, liver, organs, a digestive system, and your ability to bond and connect with other people, which links back to what we just talked about when it comes to nonverbal autism. All these things are such a systematic situation. It is miraculously woven together by God, who created us, how to develop and heal and be healthy, and also all these systems, when they are infiltrated by the world and by bad foods and by an indoor artificial lifestyle, which was never God's plan for you in the first place, this is when everything breaks down. That's why you need to look at autism as all systems break down, and you being the one to lead that journey and pull your child out of that darkness. So the vagus nerve inflamed, the brain inflamed from food, the excitotoxins in gluten and the opioids in gluten and dairy, which happens when undigested proteins enter into the bloodstream via a leaky gut. The aggression and tantrums and frustration that happens when a child is undermethylated, and that's 90 to 98% of all children with autism, leads to eloping. And the underdeveloped brain that we just talked about when it comes to not developing speech is also the same problematic areas that have not been developed in your child that you can actually work on. We can start now, actually, if you want to. But that is also what is causing a problem with neurotransmitters, enzymes, and hormones. And if you don't have the right neurotransmitters, you don't have the right development in the brain, in the cerebellum that controls decision-making, emotional control, understanding the concepts of who am I in this world, learning and retaining, social skills, bonding, social rules, speaking, communicating. These things are all linked. You need to understand there's so much you can do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to diagnose or treat. I'm a mom coach. That's all I do. I'm a journalist. I'm a researcher by journalistic profession, and I'm a mom who took my child from those. All these things was my child. And the final clip I want to show you could have been my child, because that was what he was like before. And he would have continued to be that way if he hadn't eloped into a deadly situation. He would have ended up like the child we're now going to see. And then when we watch this video, I'm going to finalize this by giving you some hope. Okay, let's look at it.
For anyone. Oh. No cash.
Hey special family, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Autism Mom, and on this channel we talk about autism and everything in between. Let's take a look at this fair use reaction video, shall we?
For anyone. Oh. No cash. Cash for a timer. Cash for a timer. You have a timer. Okay. No. Safe hands. You have a timer. Okay. No. Cash. Ow, 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 ow. Being able to anticipate by using a timer is probably one of the most helpful and effective things that a person can do.
This video was taken from this TikTok page and handle. This mom looks burnt out. This mom looks tired. And people want to tell me autism is a gift. Is this the gift that keep on giving? Are these slaps that she got part of that gift? Let's be honest. I'm still waiting on the gift part, because if this is the gift part you were talking about, or maybe you saw autism in a movie where the actor didn't really have autism, and you thought like, these people are geniuses. And yes, they are geniuses. But this is part of autism too. The part you don't really see. So I'm happy for parents like this who come and show you every part of autism. I feel sorry for this mom. I can see her tiredness. This is the reason why I said, when my son is 18, I'm aiming for 18, he has to go in a group home. Because you see how big Cash is? After a while, Cash is going to beat her to a pulp. If he keep on going this route. I can't deal with it. I just know I can. So I'm making preparation for someone more capable to handle it. Like a group home, private group home with trained staff. Because he's already taller than me and he's very strong. And after a while, there's only so much I could take before I end up in jail, and we don't want that. So let's go to the comment section. First commenter says, Cash would have seen coins that day. I'm so sorry. I don't read the left. I'm sorry. Next commenter says, my reflexes are too quick. Cash would have been seeing stars before I realized what happened. And that's why we as parents have to take steps to protect ourselves from not ending up in jail by sometimes making the hard decision to put the kids in a group home or a facility before we end up in jail. This is the reason why. So when you come online talking about, do you have permission? You can't even take care of your kids, but you want to post picture of your kids. You post picture of your cats, dogs, and your kids that are not autistic. So, whose permission did you get? We have to show you stuff like this so when you see it on the road, you know what it is. Because if you don't see a dog, but you keep hearing about a dog, but you've never seen a dog, how you gonna know it's a dog? Next commenter. I thought Cash slapped me for a second. Girl, me and you both. Next commenter. Cash, come spend some time with your auntie located in Jamaica. Cash, don't do it. Just don't do it. Next commenter. Cash knows she's scared of him. He knows what he's doing. You're better than me though. Cash would have turned into credit quick. And I know people are commenting, but in reality, in real life, we would go to jail even though he hit us. We would go to jail for protecting ourselves. So if she doesn't document this to prove, she can go to jail. Next commenter. The way I screamed out loud, Cash is big and he might end up hurting you. Please get help or assistance from someone. I agree with this commenter. From a Jamaican watching this, me I feel laugh cause Cash with a cash out. You see, mama, this are them thing what make we all got jail in America. If you gone hit the people picnic them, a jail you gonna end up. So me I beg you please, now do it. Next commenter. I don't think I can handle Cash daily. I would have to consider a home that could offer more help with this behavior. I agree. Because I see my future coming. I just look at Cash and I see my future coming. Next commenter. I work with kiddos with autism. We always say the behavior starts at home. If you don't do anything to help change it, it also gets worse. Correct. Cash would have woken up about an hour later from a suspicious, unexpected nap. Y'all commenters ain't right. Y'all just ain't right. Like, who raised y'all? Next commenters. My heart is broken. What a life. Nobody deserves this. I agree. Somebody responded, yes, forget Cash. He's being taken care of. But the sadness in mom's voice and eyes hurts my heart. No one should live like this. She's getting beat to death. He is way too strong. He can literally knock her out. And all he's doing is getting bigger. Then she have younger kids where she needs to think about their safety. It's scary. Where are the dots? Next said, I too am living this, so I can relate. Girl, me 3. If you would like to follow this mom, this is her TikTok page and handle. Go over there and give her and Cash a follow. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she's been doing it for all these years. But I know I have a cutoff point. And that slap you got would have been my cutoff, I promise you. The minute I feel like I can protect or defend myself from Ramsey anymore, honey, it is time. I don't care what the family has to say. I don't care what daddy, you, anybody gotta say. Because until he slap you in the face, you have nothing to say. My safety come first. His safety come first. So for both of us to be safe, somebody gotta go. Because 2 captains can't run this ship. But let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
This behavior is caused by the same things that we have already covered. Underdevelopment in the brain, neuroexcitatory foods, gut issues with methylation, which affects neurotransmitters, enzymes, and hormones, foods that's not aligned with this child's body type, nature deficiency probably, that happens to most children, and then the message that is missed. So autism symptoms are messengers. It is a message that forces us as moms to our knees. And we are put in a situation where we are offered coping strategies, ABA, OT, speech therapy, medication or supervision, or finally the end station for these children, if nothing is done, is just like this video illustrates. Most of these kids have to go into a home. So we are putting our children into these situations unknowingly because we are misleaded, we are misguided. God had a plan, Satan had distractions, and these children, by understanding that aggression is caused by neuroexcitatory foods, glutamates, histamine, undermethylation, gut issues, nature deficiency, emotional and physical healing needed for mom and child, because you need to become the expert in interpreting symptoms and adjusting nutrition and lifestyle according to that. It's like learning a language. You can't pull your child through a jungle that you haven't walked through. You cannot teach your child Italian unless you speak Italian. It's time to speak Italian. It's time to learn this language of autism systems, not symptoms, not coping, not trying to kill, bind, or treat these symptoms. These practitioners cannot do that for us. So instead of understanding that the neurotoxins in food, the inflammation in the brain, the biotype that is not understood, their biochemistry, nature deficiency, physical and emotional healing needed, and God's plan for us, we either lose hope because we're running to the wrong experts instead of looking to the sky and getting educated, which is what I do. I educate moms in this. So we lose hope, or we lose our children when they elope and they drown, or we lose their future and they end up in institutions, prisons, addictions, weird ideologies, gender dysmorphia, things like that. Let that not happen to you. This is why I'm saying I need to get to know you, and you need to understand me and my method for me to ever begin this process of teaching you this, because I need you to be so dedicated that you're willing to give up your old life, let your old life die to become who God has planned for you to be. So if that is you, send me an email, contact@barefootautismwarriors.com, or go to the description links and connect with me. I always announce to my email subscribers first when I open up to work with moms, when I have open spots for one-to-one coaching or going through the turnaround program. So barefootautismwarriors.com/podcasts/175 for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, it would mean the world to me if you would leave me a reply or a review and some stars, preferably 5 if you think that it's worth it. If you connect with me via Instagram or send me an email, contact@barefootautismwarriors.com. I read the emails, I reply to you, we can have a conversation about what's going on. This is so complex, so misunderstood, and these 3 videos show you what happens every single year all over the globe, and more children are diagnosed with these issues, misunderstood, and you need to be the one who understands.